Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are here with me, and lots to talk about ahead of a big night in the Scottish Premiership. It could be one of those evenings where Dundee United fans not only staring at the trapdoor but falling through it into the Championship, Ruffy.
Yeah, and it'll be a terrible sight if it is Dundee United, because there's not a full house but nearly a full house. I think the Dundee United supporters have got right behind the team. They're going to be there in numbers tonight, and if it turns out the wrong way, they'll be letting their voices heard.
Yeah, third spot still up for grabs as well, Tam.
Yeah, as I think that obviously Hearts are away to Rangers and Aberdeen have got an easier game in paper at home at St Mirren. If Aberdeen win, that's it. It's in their hands. But St Mirren will go up there and we still get aspirations of getting that fifth spot. And fifth spot, as we know, is more than likely to get European football. So I think that's going to be a great game. I heard Stephen Robinson speaking yesterday about he's got no strikers. I think that's a bit of speech play. Yeah, I think that's a bit of speech play, a bit of cathology, because I think you'll see that Maine does play, and I think he's got a great record up there as well and scored 2 against Celtic. So no, I think that's a wee bit of cathology, and I would fancy Aberdeen to get the job in the night.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell there's different generations. That's the new catchphrase from Tam, speech play. Haven't heard that one before. It must have been when he was playing in America he got that.
Yeah.
I thought you might have. I never heard it here. What about the quiz? We've got a good question, because obviously Alan McGregor's going to get a testimonial at Rangers. Who was the last Light Blues player to receive a testimonial for Rangers? And the good thing is, I've put the answer at the bottom of the script, so you haven't got a clue, have you? Do you want to have a wee go?
I'll have a guess.
Yeah, may as well. Do you think it won, Ruffy? No, you're talking somebody that's been there over a 10-year period, you know. Any?
I think John Gregg's too obvious.
John Gregg? You think so?
Yeah, it's too obvious.
Oh, go for the obvious. You know what you're like.
I'm trying to think who else has been there for 10 years after that.
Richard Gough.
Yeah, Richard Gough. You want to go for that? He's certainly one of the most decorated.
Oh, you never know.
It could be a double bluff. It could be a double bluff, Tam. You know. You want to go for it? No? Okay. We'll give you the answer at the end of the programme.
Ruffy snuffed it there.
I know, no.
Ruffy, weekend at Bernie's.
Ruffy only knows John Gregg. That's his problem. Anyway, you can give us your thoughts on that. It might be that far back. Who knows? Thanks to so many people who join us. Bob Miller joins us. Of course, looking forward to the football. Johnny, come on the well. And thanks to Thomas Lee, Brian, Lee Shanley, and lots of others. Paul Brady, James, Niall, Tommy in Thailand, and David Gemmell. It's absolutely brilliant. Hugh Scott, and so many people who've actually supported us over the course of the season. The figures we've had have been absolutely sensational. The people consuming our content has been brilliant, and hopefully next season you're going to enjoy the content, and of course some new faces, Ruffy, because as ever we've got to strengthen the team.
Yep, certainly have. Some people get tired. No.
Yeah. And some people move on.
Some people move on, yeah.
No, that's as simple as that. Badge kissers. It's just our biggest fear, Tam, isn't it?
Well, you know I'm loyal to PLZ.
Yep. And where did we hear that line? Ruffy, where did we hear that catchphrase, eh? When was that catchphrase made?
Yes,
you remember the number 6?
Yeah.
He who shall not be named. There you are. So we'll wait and we'll see. Anyway, lots to talk about as far as the Premiership is concerned. Just quick one, Tam, we talked about it in the preview, but Darren McGregor has decided to retire and take up a role as the under-18s coach at Hibernian. We were talking about it when we were putting the whole script together, and we thought, is he a Hibs legend?
Yeah, I think he is. I think that every Hibs player that played in that final, I was involved in that final, are Hibs legends. I think that he's a leader. He's been a fantastic servant to Hibs. He was in the Championship when obviously Hibs got relegated and come back up, won the league with them. And I just think all round he's just a massive Hibs fan as well. He's from Leith, and I think he is a Hibs legend. And I think he'll be sadly missed. He'll still be around. I think he was playing the reserves this year. He was helping the younger kids. He was playing centre half in the development games. So he's obviously had enough. He's going into coaching, but. For me, Darren McGregor is an absolute legend. Yeah,
I wonder, and just I'm holding it this way. I wonder because obviously, you might be switched on. Could you have a go at that starting 11 for the 2016 side? Do you remember who?
What's the big goalie's name? Big polar bear.
Yeah,
Conrad Logan.
Yep.
McGregor.
Yep.
Gray. Stevenson.
Yep.
Who was the other centre half?
Well, your man is playing well now.
McGregor Hanlon.
Yep.
McGregor Hanlon, that's your back four. And then it was McGinn, McGeoch,
Yep.
Bartley.
No, he was a sub.
Oh, McGinn, McGeoch.
Liam Fontaine, would you have got that?
Well, Liam Fontaine, I forgot
I don't think
him.
you'd have got that one.
I forgot about him.
Another boy that came from Aberdeen.
Fraser Fivey.
Yep.
And
you've only
then-
got 2 more to go.
Oh, I tell you, the man who was probably his best ever game in a Hibs jersey, Stokes. He gave
Yep.
Tavernier an absolute down that day. He
Yep.
could have had 4 or 5.
Another one.
Cumdog.
Yep, your man. Jason Cummings, and the substitutes, of course, played a huge part in it.
Liam Henderson.
Yep. And here's
Gunnarsson.
Gunnarsson, good shout, Tom.
Gunnarsson. The wee English striker.
No.
There was an English striker on the bench there.
I know, but James Keatings was the other one we were
Right, come
looking for. And then the others were Chris Dagnall, Martin Boyle, Marvin Bartley, and Mark Oxley.
Yep.
So there you are.
So honestly, every one of them
he's a legend.
Absolutely, every one of the players are a legend.
You don't think McGregor's a legend, do you? He's 188 appearances for.
Well, I'm going to give Tam it because he played in the game. If that's what it counts, you know, he's a legend because he will be remembered. But no, up there with Pat Stanton and Jimmy Arut.
No.
And these kind of guys. But no, anybody played in the game will be remembered forever.
Yeah, okay. It's always good to get an insight into it. If you're a Hibs fan out there, is he a legend? Give us a...
I was very surprised that Mark Warburton get rid of him at Rangers. I thought that was one of his big mistakes at Rangers, was getting rid of Darren McGregor. I thought Darren McGregor was excellent at Rangers. I think he wanted somebody who was maybe better on the ball and could come out and play, but
yeah,
I think that was a big error from Rangers getting rid of him, because I think he's a very... I played against him. He's strong as an ox. He's strong as an ox, and he's quick. And he's done his knee. He's done his cruciate about 2 or 3 times. He's always come back fit, and tremendous professional as well.
Yeah, we wish him well. I don't think we'll have seen the last of Darren McGregor. Under 18s, obviously trying to climb that ladder too. I'm sure as the years go on, there will be a job somewhere for him. There's a Premiership record attendance that will go tonight, Ruffy. I think that's fantastic. You know, I think we only need another 6,000 to attend tonight's games, and it will actually record a record for people attending all the Premiership games, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's been really competitive this year. It's been competitive at the top. Okay, the guys underneath that, the 3 underneath that, and Hibs and Hearts and Cloud Aberdeen in that to a certain extent, they're all back up at 16,000 now for home games. Motherwell's attendance, I suppose, went up. The others are just pretty average all the time, but it just shows you when you have a competitive league, top, middle, bottom, you're going to get these kind of attendances.
Yeah, well, St Mirren, increased their attendance because they were starting to look at 3 sides for the fans coming in, and only giving the likes of Rangers and Celtic one side. 3.6 million have already attended the matches, and they only need 9,500 fans. And then they'll break that record as well. So that was just fantastic.
Yeah, I think it shows you how much we love football in this country. I think when you look at it per capita, per head, we're up there with the best in Europe in terms of fans going to the games. So we've got a great product, and obviously, listen, we can speak all day about the sponsorship and bringing more money in, a better TV deal, but when you look at the fans who are out going to the games, you've got to tip your hat. That's fantastic for a small country. To get that kind of those type of crowds. It just shows you how mad we are about football in this country.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to mention a couple of people, and my apologies to Michael from Northampton. I think it was his birthday the other day there, and I meant to actually mention it on the day itself, but all the messages were coming in. I had to put it in the script. As a regular member of the PLZ family, do I qualify for a mention on my 80th birthday? Yes. Michael Emmons, you do qualify. Thank you. I share my birthday with Ruffy's old pal, George Best, who would have been 77. Are there many regulars older than 80 on this show? And I would suggest to you that Michael is up there as one of the oldest that watches the programme, Ruffy. That's great. And he has, I think he's won a competition on here, and he has been with us for a long time.
Is he Scottish? I know he lives in England, but is he Scottish?
Yeah, but I think he's lived down there for quite a while. That's great, isn't it?
That's great. It's fantastic. 80 years of age is brilliant.
Yeah, and Tam,
I can get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's not be too optimistic. Hi Tam, I watch the show every day, and I love Tam Cowan going on about his beloved Motherwell. Could you give a wee mention to a good friend of mine who passed away here in Hamilton, Ontario, Jimmy Devaney, who is a staunch Motherwell fan too. That's from Harry Fitzpatrick, and he says, this is the show for me.
Brilliant. I've got relatives in Hamilton. I was over there last year, Ontario, So lovely part of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. What happened in this day, Ruffy, it's a very special one. If you are a supporter of football,
May.
yep, big tournament
What
on
year?
this day. On this day, Ruffy, which is the 24th of May.
Can it be a European Cup final?
How can it not?
Celtic won the European
Season
Cup.
to finish?
24th of May. It could be a European trophy, or it could be a big cup somewhere. On this day, 24th of May, sticks in the mind of so many people.
No, I'll go for a European Cup final then.
A European Cup final for who?
Celtic.
Well, Celtic's the 25th of May, so it can't be them. What about yourself, Tommy? You going to have a go at this one? On this day, 1972,
72.
Rangers won the European Cup Winners' Cup, 3-2 victory over Dynamo Moscow, or Moscow Dynamo, whichever way you want to do it. Where did they play it? Oh, Ruffy,
I know
come on,
there was a
man.
bit of a riot after it. Was it Madrid?
It's in the new camp where they won it, and Colin Steen with that famous goal, and Willie Johnson as well. And Big Derek played at the back as a youngster.
The thing I always remember about that Moscow team was the shorts that they wore.
Yeah?
Yeah, they wore white shorts with a band round the bottom. Remember, Scotland started.
Did they not have a big D on it as well?
They might have done, but I think Scotland did these shorts as well. But I think the Moscow team were the first team to do it. They did have a big D. I don't know whether it was on their shorts or
Are we hooping in the bottom?
Yeah, it was like a hoop. But that was some Rangers team as well. And remember, Ruffy, this is the great thing that a lot of people of a certain age will not be aware of, is the fact that that was a Rangers team that didn't, they won the Cup Winners' Cup. It was I think Celtic had near enough a clean sweep of everything else. Rangers didn't win the league, but they won the Cup Winners' Cup. That's how strong Scottish football was at that time.
Yeah, it was a good era for a lot, of that era. Yeah, obviously after Celtic winning it, and I don't know, did we have any? But I'm going a wee back to the Dunfermlines, and that's the 60s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dunfermline and Kilmarnock and all them. But,
they're all early 60s.
They're all 60s.
Dundee was 62 European Cup semi-final, but this one here, listen to this team, Rangers team, McCloy. Good lad, you know him. Sandy Jardine, I have nothing but the highest regard for. I had him as my co-commentator when I lived in Edinburgh. He was brilliant. Patter, absolutely sensational. Loved their noise up. Willie Matheson, John Gregg, Derek Johnson, Dave Smith. That Derek used to sit alongside me at Radio Clyde and wax lyrical about, said he was an absolute gem of a player. Tommy McLean, Alfie Conn, Colin Steen, Alec MacDonald. We had a wee night out at Dukla with Alec, still in good fettle. Willie Johnson, and also someone that we've been out speaking with, who was a substitute, who actually really played a key part in the win over Bayern Munich.
Derek Parlane.
Yeah. Who still looks as if he could play right now.
Yeah.
Derek looks in great nick, doesn't he?
Yeah, I played with Derek in the Scotland under-18 team. He looked as good then as what he did now. But just when you said Peter McCloy there, my first memory come back is when I got my first cap for Scotland. I'd just taken over from Peter McCloy, must have been some of the games. And in the days, you used to get the same training gear that they had for like 5 years ago. So the training gear used to get laid. The training gear used to come round and get laid on your bed. So I obviously had a goalkeeper's jumper for training and the blue tracksuit that was there for years and years. And I went and put on the jersey. The boy said, Peter McCloy was the last person to wear that jersey. I went, oh, why? So I shoved it on. The arms were way down here. I had to roll it up and up before I could go to the training.
Here's the Scottish Premiership fixtures tonight, and it really is nervy. Of the games, Ruffy, that I would love to have been there in person, Tannadice is the place to be. It is not for the faint-hearted. It's Dundee United against Kilmarnock. United will be relegated if they lose and Ross County beats St Johnstone. A draw and a Ross County win still leaves Dundee United in the playoffs at best. If Dundee United win and Ross County lose, then Jim Goodwin's side would go into 10th. There are so many different permutations. Of course, United face Motherwell at Fir Park on the final day of the season. This one is crazy. And by the way, United, no surprise, have cancelled their Player of the Year awards. I mean, how can you have a Player of the Year awards when they've just had such a miserable season, Tom?
Yeah, I don't think you'd be wanting to go to that if you're a supporter, particularly.
You wouldn't even get clapped in.
No, particularly with the amount of money they've spent this season and the budget they've got and the size of the club. But No, I think that Sky have missed a trick, not covering those games.
I'm glad you said that. Alan Woods has just said Dundee United Kelly should be the Sky.
Yeah, it should have been on the TV. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it's a massive game. I mean, Dundee United could get relegated tonight. And you want to see you want to see those big games. Ross County, if they pick up points as well. So no, it's very, very exciting. I think most of it's been settled in the league in terms of the championship and possibly third place tonight with Aberdeen, but there's a lot to play for at the bottom, and it's just a shame that those games aren't on the TV, particularly that game at Tannadice. It'd have been a wonderful watch to see the tension, of a team that's desperate to win to stay in the division.
And it's not as if you're going to affect the attendance. I mean, you wouldn't get a ticket for love nor money.
No, and you've got to think of the neutrals. You've got to think of the people who can't go to games. For them as well, who are paying their prescription. It'll be good.
And of course, the other thing about subscription and the prescription. So basically, an inhaler and a subscription.
If you were doing that dinner, would you ask for a cancellation fee?
What's that for?
Dundee United.
Oh, you've got it.
I cancelled. I was supposed to do a Dundee one about 2 or 3 years ago, and literally just been relegated that night or the day before, and I just phoned to say that. I made an excuse. I think Ruffy done it. Ruffy stepped in.
Well, you couldn't do it.
I just didn't want. I mean, why would you want to go and just been relegated and you're going to go up and try and make people laugh?
Yeah,
£2,000.
Yeah, absolutely. God, you must be reading somebody else's script. By the way, I have to say it's cutthroat tonight, and it should be a game that is on the television. I mean, it's one of those ones, Ruffy, obviously with Tam.
Tam will be jumping tonight.
Well, Tam's wife is stuck in America, so it's a great chance for us to head up to the house, move the Russian satellite, and watch whatever game we want.
Mm-hmm. Can you see it for the jacuzzi? Oh, you can see it for the jacuzzi.
Absolutely. It's Kilmarnock will be safe if they win tonight. Ross County will lose to St Johnstone. That's why it's got everything. It's Kelly face Ross County at Rugby Park on the final day of the season. I don't know about you, but the best thing would be the ultimate.
I think they can all end up in the same points, can't they?
Yeah, and then it's down to the last day. Wouldn't that be the best, Ruffy? I mean, it's nervy. It wouldn't be the best for the players. They're all throwing things at the telly right now.
I remember one year in one of the lower divisions there was something like that. There was 2 teams, and for some reason I think it was Albion Rovers and somebody else, and they obviously were checking each other's scores, and one game finished before the other one, and somebody told one of the teams that was it, they were safe, and here there was another 5 minutes to go, and the other team scored, and they were celebrating at one stadium.
Yeah, I remember that actually.
Celebrating at one stadium, and then the news comes through, and it was honestly, it was heartbreaking.
What game was it?
I don't know, just for some reason I thought it was Albion Rovers or somebody.
Yeah, I thought it was in the English game or possibly the Netherlands. I might be wrong. Somebody will remind us of it. What was the premise of it again? They'd been told that they were safe and they celebrated.
They were told they weren't safe because of goal difference.
Right.
And then this other team was still playing and they got a goal which beat their
sent them down. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always remember the big goalie that scored for Carlisle. Do you remember that? He went up for the corner.
Jimmy Glass.
Jimmy Glass scored with the last almost touch of the ball.
That's right. I remember that. Kept him up.
Also, Hugh Scott says, Peter, what about Tam Court's been linked with the Dundee job? What's the board thinking about? I mean, there's all sorts of people been linked.
I think he said last night that he kind of ruled himself out. But listen, I know Ian Murray's been approached at Raith Rovers. I don't know if that's moved on since then, but I think Ian, in terms of that job, would be a great fit for Dundee. I think he's done a great job at Raith Rovers, and before that Airdrie. He's had one kind of bad spell when it was 5 or 6 years ago at St Mirren, but I think when you look at what he's done and the style of football he plays, I think he'd be a great fit for Dundee. But I think that Dundee will be looking at 2 or 3 different candidates, so it'll just be who they go for. But I think they need to get somebody in quickly. Dundee, in terms of pre-season, I think they've got 3 players under contract, so they need to get somebody in quick. Okay, you don't need to tell us. Well, it doesn't really matter now because you've submitted your scores. Have you submitted yours? Yes, I have.
Yeah, well, that's okay then. We can all fly into our own predictions on it. Dundee United, Kilmarnock. What have you gone for, Ruffy?
I've went for Dundee United to win 2-1.
Oh,
no, you would.
What about yourself? What did you go for?
I think I've went for 1 each.
1 each. You've gone for a draw.
I think that Kilmarnock can get. I think there's too much pressure on Dundee United tonight. I think particularly if Kilmarnock score first.
The Fletcher going to be fit?
No, he's out.
He's out.
No, they said this morning.
He's definitely out. He's definitely out.
Well, I have to say to you, Ruffy, I've gone for Dundee United 1, Kilmarnock 0.
All right.
I mean, it's 2.
I don't want to go.
Do you know why I don't want to go 3-2? because it's too high a percentage chance of it ever finishing there. So I've decided that I've got to get myself into a position where double points in the predictor at the end of the last game of the season at the weekend, I can overtake him.
I went for a couple of upsets because I can read Ruffy like a boot. I know exactly what he's going to put.
Yeah,
1 each, comfortable 2-0s.
Okay.
2-1 maybe.
Listen, it should be on the telly. Somebody actually just said Rangers Hearts is the Sky game.
Yeah, that's on Sky tonight.
And it's the battle for Hearts for third. I mean, I don't know about you, Ruffy, but come on. The bottom end has got more on it. I mean, that's the game, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. If I had the choice of the Rangers Hearts game or the Hibs Hearts game at the end, I think the Hibs Hearts game would be better to watch than
Hearts Hibs at Tynecastle should be on the telly as well.
Dundee United games on Dundee United TV, you'll get that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you will, we won't, but nevertheless, I'll phone you, tell us what happens, will we? Ross County, St Johnstone. They can avoid automatic relegation with a win over St Johnstone if Dundee United obviously don't beat Kilmarnock. Malky's just got it down to the wire. It's all about, I think, for Malky trying to calm the players and saying, listen, don't react to what's happening elsewhere, just focus on the job.
Yeah, I thought they did okay at Motherwell. I thought they were really, really unfortunate. You know, I think if they'd got that penalty, you know, they maybe would on and won the game. You know, so he'll be telling his players, look, believe that that was a bit of injustice at the weekend there. Your home form's been relatively good. I was reading that St Johnstone are starting to try and play players that maybe aren't getting a game. They're going to try the under-21 goalkeeper. He's coming in for a shout, you know, and they might just decide to rest. So I'm not saying they'll down tools or anything like that, but they know they're safe. You can see them celebrating at the weekend, so maybe just, you know, not the same hunger.
Oh, interesting. Niall says 2-1 to Dundee United, lads. Some good interesting scores here. Hugh Scott says 1-0 Dundee United, 95th minute Jamie McGrath penalty, no tension. Can you imagine it? And then he goes up and swivels on the pole behind the net.
I've trademarked that, as you know.
Ian says 2-0 for United. A lot of people actually think United are going to do it. So whether that materialises or not is another matter. Do they, St Johnstone have an incentive?
Nah, I went for Ross County in this game. I'd actually fancy Ross County strongly. I think that St Johnstone are safe now. I think the euphoria of that game at the weekend, you know, getting safe, great result. You know, as Ruffy says, they're no down tools, but the intensity's not going to be there. They're safe. You know, they're looking ahead to next season.
What have you gone for?
I think I went for 2-0 to Ross County.
So did I.
So did I.
Is that right? Did you? You're a rat. You are a rat. Did you?
I don't think so.
All right, okay.
I think I went 2-1.
Listen, destiny is in their own hands. Aberdeen, Barry Robson, win at home against St Mirren, third place is theirs.
Yep, there's no excuses for Aberdeen now. That I think they've got 2 or 3, you know, key players back as well. I think Duke comes back in. I think Shinnie is back in as well. So no, I think there's no excuses for Aberdeen. I'd fancy Aberdeen to win that game. I think they'll be a full Pittodrie there.
Could Hearts win at Ibrox and then
keep it going?
The last game?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think if it was at Tynecastle then maybe, but I think we've seen this season the gap between, you know, Celtic, Rangers and Hearts and Hibs, you know, is pretty big. You've seen it at the weekend there. You know, Rangers beat Hibs comfortably in my opinion, you know, and they had 12 players missing. So I think that I don't fancy Hearts to get in, maybe sneak a draw at best. So I think that Aberdeen can go and seal it tonight and beat St Mirren, and I went for 2-0 to Aberdeen.
Oh, it's an interesting one because St Mirren, I just think it's been a great season for them. I mean,
they've nothing to lose tonight, have they really? St Mirren can just go and have a go.
He's got that attitude. He's just said to his players, listen, go out there. The boy Curtis Main's playing as if he's just signed and he's only 21. He's rampaging about, you know, ragdolling everybody in the back line, certainly in the Celtic game as well.
Yeah, but I thought that was going to be a great partnership at the beginning when Brophy was there. You know, Brophy and Main would cause all sorts of problems, and then obviously Brophy left, so all credit to him. He's taken it upon himself to be the main goal scorer, and certainly after the game at the weekend he'll be really looking forward to this Aberdeen game. But I just think a full house at Aberdeen, you know, they all know what really is at stake, and I think it's only one winner for me, and it's Aberdeen. Yeah,
Skeeden says, Peter, you're wrong. Hearts beat Rangers and it's down to the final game. Yeah, we did mention that, and right, thanks for pointing it out as well. We did mention that we don't think Hearts beat Rangers.
When was the last time Hearts beat Rangers? I think it was in the Championship. I think it was Osman So, I think it was the last minute, right across the goalkeeper.
Is that
Somebody
right?
might
That's a
correct me on that.
Because we were talking about
the Championship,
top flight last time. Was it Alan Johnson scoring for hat-trick Perhaps
Hearts beat Rangers.
it might be something like that, because it's not often you see Hearts, beating Rangers at Ibrox. That's what we're obviously thinking about. But Skeeden, good on you for pointing it out. We don't mind being corrected on various things, but we did highlight it anyway. St Mirren, I've got it. Aberdeen 3, St Mirren 1. What about you?
I've got 2-1.
2-1. That's good. That's a change as well, Ruffy. That's
2-0 Dons.
Yeah. Okay.
2-0.
Now, St Mirren, they're going to play Rangers on the final day of the season. So they've really just they've not put the tools away. They've just got a chance to go and have a go. What do you think in that one? Who's going to win it? Aberdeen going to win it? And could it go down to the final day? Can Hearts take it right down to the wire? Give us your thoughts on that as well. And
hope it does. It'd be great if it goes down to the wire. I think if that
Just
derby.
remind me, Tom's saying it's down to 5 for Europe. So is it 2 Champions League, 2 Europa and 1 Conference?
Yes,
where they all go.
and qualifiers. There'll be qualifiers.
So
as well.
whoever finishes third is guaranteed group stage football like last year. Even if they don't win that Europa League playoff, they go straight into the Conference League group stage like Hearts done.
Right. But we want them into the Europa League. I want them to get £6-7 million. Do you not, Tom?
Yeah.
And I don't care who it is.
Listen, that game tonight for Aberdeen is possibly a £4 or £5 million game. We spoke about it last season when Hearts had to beat Hibs to get into the final. And they were that guaranteed. Remember, we were talking about how big that game is in terms of finance. This is if Aberdeen win tonight, they're guaranteed group stage football in the Conference League, which could be £4 or £5 million. So no, it's an absolute enormous game for Aberdeen tonight. Yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't it be great, Ruffy, if next season we're looking at a situation where you had Celtic and Rangers in the Champions League group stages, you had let's just say Aberdeen in the Europa League, and then possibly Hearts and or Hibs in the Conference. It would be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, they're the strongest teams this year. If you were to say, that on the face of it, they've got the biggest crowds. They've got for away games, they would probably have the biggest travelling supports. So yeah, you would think, if we have to get our coefficient up, they would be the ones with the experience of playing in Europe.
And this also is on the basis that we don't think Inverness are going to win the Scottish Cup just before somebody comes in and points that out to us. So it's Celtic at Easter Road tonight against Hibs. It was one of those games where I thought, Hibs still have got something to battle away for.
I think this game all depends on what Celtic turn up. They've dropped off it. It's been noticeable in the last 2 games, Ibrox and then at home to St Mirren. They've dropped off it. They're conceding goals. They're missing Carter Vickers badly. They've not got the same intensity. As I said, this is a 1-game season. They're looking to the cup final. Was that next weekend? I think that Ange Postecoglou might change a few players tonight. Maybe give someone else an opportunity with the Flag Day coming up at the weekend. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see Celtic's team. I think if you're a Celtic fan, you'd want to see them maybe make a few changes and have a look at other players and keep those guys fresh for next weekend. So it all depends on which Celtic. If Celtic turn up with the intensity that they've been playing with, there's only one winner for me. But on the judging on the last 2 games, I think the Hibs have got an opportunity tonight to get something out of the game, and I've went for 2 each. I think there'll be goals in this game. Yeah. I think Celtic have looked leaky at the back the last couple of games, and I'm going to go for 2 each in this game. I think Hibs can get a point.
Wow, interesting. I've gone Hibs 1, Celtic 2. Rafi, of course, before you give us your prediction, I can't work out why. We'll give us your prediction.
I went Celtic 2-0.
Yeah, I can't work out why Ange is just biting at some of the questions. It's a strange one when really, Celtic are the champions. The managers just get the cigars out and not really get worried about some of the line of questioning, which it's made him a little bit tetchy, as you can hear now.
Actually, the one thing I do know is the squad is champions, so it's a pretty good feeling, and that's what we set out to do, and we've done it. So. There's nothing else I need to know, really, apart from the fact that they've been outstanding this year and they've won the competition, they've won another competition, and they've got an opportunity to win another competition. So I think there's everything I need to know is right there.
Yeah, that's what you can't see it visually, but that's basically the ball coming up and just belting the baseball bat out into left field. Is that fair?
Yeah, it seems to be. You're right. It seems to be a bit tetchy with some of the questions that people are asking, but. If Celtic, it doesn't matter if you've won the league or you've not won the league. If Celtic are losing games and people are going to ask, they're going to ask you questions. I know Celtic have won everything this season, and but you've still got to go out and play the games and win the games as a Celtic player. So no, listen, I think that he'll be delighted. Listen, they're odds on to win the treble, and he'll not be bothered about this game. So that's why I've went for Hibs to get something out of the game. I think they've dropped off, and I think you can tell with the manager as well that there's been a drop off. So I think the Hibs can, a fully fired up Hibs can get something out of the game.
Funny you should say that. Even Matt O'Reilly thinks it's time for Celtic to click into gear ahead of the preparations for the cup final.
Some of it probably just comes down to, you know, a mindset kind of thing, just being really ruthless every game. I know it's natural to drop off slightly, you know, because we've already won the league, but the team we are, we don't want to be able to do that, and we want to set a high standard every single game. So tomorrow we'll try and do that again.
Well, what do you think? Hibs or Celtic at Easter Road? Who's going to win it? Ruffy, just out of curiosity, I mean, I know a lot of people talk about it. A lot of people have been talking about, you know, Rangers, who they're going to be signing, the amount of players that are coming in. Ange Postecoglou mentioned something over the last few weeks that I think will become, I think it will certainly go to the forefront of everybody's mind in the summer when he starts offloading players that have not got a future there. And I think, you know, he has mentioned before, don't get favourites. I don't think that there are players who have definitely got a future here, because some players haven't actually stepped up to the plate and haven't actually, you know, measured up to maybe what he's looking for. There could be a few players going out that surprise people.
Yeah, I think he will make that kind of decision. He's a manager who brought some players in, and we were all amazed by the ones that he brought in, the Maeda, Kyogo, you know, these players were, Hatate are fantastic, and he'll be the one that will decide, you know, which ones that he's brought in haven't really lived up to what he thought they were going to live up to. So he might be ruthless, we haven't seen it yet. He might be ruthless enough to say, right, it's not working for you, I'm going to go for a better player, so I'm going to let you go and see who he delves into, you know. But it'll be interesting to see which ones that he has decided haven't been of the same quality as the ones that he's got.
Is there any players that have disappointed you, Tam?
That Ange signed this. I think the obvious one is James McCarthy. I think that he'll probably be away in the summer unless he opts to stay and take his money, which he could possibly do.
Yeah. What about players that have actually played?
Yeah, I don't think there's been too many misses.
Kobayashi?
I've not seen that much of him, Peter. He's been in and out. He's dipped in and out.
Yeah.
Same with O and Iwata. They've no, you know. I think you've got to form an opinion when they've played 5-10 games on the bounce. I think it's too early. They've been in and out. I think it's too early just to see.
Bernabe?
I think he's been disappointing, Peter. I think he's been disappointing whenever I've seen him, and he has maybe played a little bit more. I thought he was really poor in the Old Firm game, and I just think that he's maybe one that they could maybe look to move on and get somebody else in that maybe back up with. I think Taylor's been excellent. Taylor seems to be the number one, left back. But I think Celtic may be looking in the market for another left back. I think he's been a wee bit disappointing for me.
Yeah. A number of people are saying Ange didn't sign McCarthy. No, I don't think anybody's saying he signed him. We're just looking at players that potentially could be going out the door, because there's a few that have been released by Rangers. Celtic will undoubtedly maybe surprise a few people with some of the players that are going out. One player who left and then didn't get a club for a while has been released by West Brom, Tom Rogic. 23 appearances, 2 goals for West Brom, signed a 1-year deal. The club had an option to take up another 12 months, but they've just decided no. No surprise to me, by the way, Ruffy.
No, well,
surprise to you?
Any time we summed him up on the show, he was a 60-minute player. You know, he could come on and control a game for 60 minutes, but not fulfil the 90 minutes. And that wasn't all the time. A lot of times he did play particularly well, scored some of the most fantastic goals we've seen, you know, on numerous occasions. But I was a bit confused with the pre-season, you know, where he was going to sign, and he went away somewhere and he left it, 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
Didn't seem to have a hunger to want to play. Whether he was just biding his time to get the right move, but he seemed to be a guy who didn't have the same hunger that some of the other players have to play football. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I just get that feeling.
I know this sounds outrageous, but let's just say, for example, he was going to stay in the UK, and maybe, you know, obviously his stock has dropped slightly. He's the type of, is he one of those guys that you turn around and say to Dave Cormack, look, take a wee chance on him? He's a standard of player that they wouldn't be able to get normally.
Yeah, I think he probably would. I think that if you're Dave Cormack at Aberdeen, you're looking at it and you think he could do a job for you. Yeah. But It just depends. It remains to be seen what Aberdeen are going to do in the summer. But
How much money Rogic wants?
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's how much money he's wanting. He's went to West Brom, and he's not done the business at all. He could be one that maybe ends up back in Australia.
Yeah.
Maybe the A-League or something like that, or somewhere over in Asia. But I thought that he would have done really well at West Brom, but he hasn't. And listen, the Celtic fans love him. He was brilliant at Celtic, but as Ruffy said, he was never a 90-minute player. He was a guy who was good for 60, 65 or coming off the bench and scored some crucial goals. But if you're an Aberdeen at Hibs, I think you're looking at him.
Hugh Scott says, would you take him at Hibs?
Yeah, I would take him at Hibs, aye.
Yeah.
I think with that kind of quality, I think Hibs have missed that since Scott Allen left. Kind of maverick, sitting in that number 10 position. So, but I think he'd be maybe looking to go back to Australia or Asia or somewhere over that way.
Yeah, okay. Alan Wood says Tom Rogic should go to America like Tam McManus did. So there you are. Got it in today. Hey. Rangers against Hearts. Kieran Dowell will be paraded, we're led to believe, at half time. Pre-contract from Norwich. So slowly but surely Rangers fans are starting to see, okay, he's offloading players. He's announced the 5 that are going. Here's another one. Here's the big build-up, and here's obviously a statement that was made with regards to some of the players that have left. As you can see, I don't think he wanted anyone really kind of I think there might be a farewell to some of these players tonight as well, which would be a nice touch. Scott Arfield, Alfredo Morelos, Ryan Kent, Alan McGregor and Philip Helander. Helander I feel sorry for, Tam, because quite simply, had the boy not had the injuries, he might have been a player that Rangers fans, I think, would have really warmed to.
Yeah, I thought he was superb when he was fit. I think he was the bedrock of stopping 10 in a row. Him and Goldson that season were outstanding. I think they conceded single figures in terms of goals. So him and Goldson were brilliant that season. Unfortunately, just picking up too many injuries. I think Rangers can't afford to carry a guy like that. I think they signed him for £3 million or £3 or £4 million, and he'd be on big money. So I think that's a no-brainer. Unfortunately for him, injuries have killed his Rangers career. But I think when he was fit at Rangers, he was tremendous.
McGregor's a legend.
McGregor is a Rangers legend. I've just seen that 218 clean sheets in 400 odd games. Fantastic. In some of his performances in Europe, I've got Rangers into finals. And so he's been outstanding. Morelos, look at his numbers as well. I think he was nearly a goal a game, every second game. Tremendous figures as well. European top scorer of all time at Rangers. So these guys have been excellent. The one I'm a bit disappointed with Ryan Kent. You look at his numbers there; they weren't great. And he's somebody that's flattered to deceive at times. He's looked very, very good on occasion. He's looked average. So, I think all of them. Scott Arfield again, Rangers fans love him. He's part of stopping that 10 in a row. He's excellent that season as well. So, the Rangers fans, they'll all get a good ovation tonight. I think when they all walk out for the last time, whether they're playing or on the bench or not stripped. I think every single one of those players that he's just mentioned there have done a job for Rangers.
Yeah, Michael Beale wanted to draw a line in the sand on their careers.
So there'll be important players coming in to fill those roles, and it's important that I give the players coming in no shadows around them. They get the opportunity to come in and be main players, and that's certainly an exciting time for me and the staff, and I'm sure for the fans as well.
Yeah, well, Michael Beale's been very positive about the fact that he wants to build his own side. He's talked about maybe a dozen players and more than a few, obviously, that we now know are heading out the door. Ryan Jack has got a chance still with another year at Rangers to try and maybe even extend his stay, but certainly try and be part of a successful Rangers squad that wins the title back from Celtic. And he reckons with the manager's new signings and everybody else who's still there, they've got to hit the ground running in the new season.
Yeah, it's always exciting times. I think we've stated that this season's been disappointing, it's not been good enough, and next season it's important that when we do start from day one of pre-season, we're ready to go and everyone's tuned in, and as I say, you don't get time here to bed in, and we've got to get results straight away. We know that, and we look forward to trying to do that.
Yeah, okay. Now, obviously, there's going to be a testimonial for Alan McGregor against Newcastle. Rangers are going to trial a singing section in the Copeland stand, the Copeland Road end, which again is something that Celtic have tried in that corner. Creates a good atmosphere, Ruffy. I don't know if they're going to swap the Union Bears, is it, from one corner over to the other end. Who knows? But you know, a safe standing section would be great there, I think.
Yeah, I think it adds something to the game. You know, they're very vocal. You know, and I think it makes the game more exciting. You know, because they are more relaxed and standing up than sitting down. So you know, no, I think it's a good thing. It's a really good move. It depends, as you say, where they pitch them.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's going to be fourth in the table, Tam, with Hearts playing at Rangers?
Looks like Hearts. It looks like Hearts. You know, unless St Mirren can do them a favour tonight, you know, and get something off of Aberdeen, then it looks as if it's going to be Aberdeen third, Hearts fourth, and Hibs fifth. Yeah, and that's unless Celtic can do something tonight against Celtic and get a result, and maybe St Mirren get something off Aberdeen, but you know, it looks as if that's going to be the lineup. But they would like to see it going down to the last game of the season. I'd like to see something on that Hearts Hibs game in terms of a position, but I don't think it's going to get that. I don't think they're going to get that. I think it's going to be settled tonight.
Yep. Okay. I've got Rangers 2, Hearts 1. You?
Rangers 2-0.
3-1 Rangers.
Okay. And of course, Hearts against Hibs last day of the season. I noticed a link with John Kennedy potentially
for Hearts.
In line for
that
Hearts. I can't see that.
I think that John Kennedy is eventually going to have to step out on his own. I think that he's been linked with numerous jobs. I think Dundee United was linked with the Hibs job. I think he's got a great job at Celtic. He must be learning a lot from Ange Postecoglou. He's learned obviously from guys like Brendan Rodgers, Neil Lennon. I think there's going to come a time when he thinks he's right, it's time for me to have a shot on my own. But whether that's now, I don't know. I think Hearts would be a great job for him for a first gig. I think that would be tremendous. So I think he's a very, very highly rated coach within the football circles, and I think obviously there's teams that know that. But whether the time's now for him, I don't know. But I think that he will eventually think to himself, listen, it's time for me to go alone.
Yeah, absolutely. He's part of a backroom team that were heavily criticised, I have to say, wrongly.
Defence. Every time they lost a goal, it was John Kennedy's fault.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And John, local boy, brilliant lad. And I think I agree with Tam. I think he's going to have to step out from the shadow. But boy, what a learning curve he's had with the managers that he's worked under. Yeah,
I think he's done particularly well. I think every manager that's been in there has spoke very highly of him. I think the players speak very highly of him as well, and the coaching side as well. So as Tam said, year on year he'll be learning more. And again, as Tam said, I mean, if you get a choice to go to your first club and it was going to be Hearts, you know, that's absolutely. I mean, you wouldn't think he's going to jump down to England. Somebody's going to take him there. So if it's up here, Hearts, I think, would be a perfect fit.
Yeah, well, if I was, and I agree with Hugh Scott, who's just said something that I think is absolutely, if Stephen Naismith's not getting it, I hope Stephen gets a job somewhere as a coach, you know, to build up his experience, whether it's Hearts or not, who knows. But Hugh Scott says, Peter, I said it again yesterday, the perfect manager for Hearts would be Stephen Robinson. And no disrespect to St Mirren, but Hearts are a big club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
bigger than St Mirren.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, you look at Stephen Robinson's, look at his CV, what he did at Motherwell and what he's doing just now. Yeah, you would think if they want an experienced guy, you know, rather than the younger guy, if somebody's been there, done it, made the decisions with the budget that they've got, then he would fit that bill. Obviously, John Kennedy hasn't had that experience, so depends which way you want to go down.
Yeah, good shout.
Yep, very good shout. As Ruffy said there, it's, do you want somebody that's tried and tested, or do you want to take a little bit of a gamble, a little bit of a flyer on a younger, you know, up-and-coming manager? So it'll just be whatever the Hearts board come to terms with. But Stephen Naismith, he's still got an opportunity in the next couple of games to get that job. You know, if they go to Ibrox and win, you know, and beat Hibs in the last game of the season, then I think he'll get the job. So it's in his hands at the minute if he can get a couple of good results.
Motherwell against Livingston, it's only prize money, it's points that's up for grabs, and everybody wants to finish as high as they possibly can. And Kevin Van Veen looking to score in his 10th consecutive game, that would be some feat for the boy.
Yeah, we spoke about it after the game, and at the weekend there, he's not passing to anybody. You know, yeah, if he breaks through and there's somebody in the inside and it's a simple cut across the goal for a tap in, it's not happening. No, he's having a shot. I mean, single-minded, he's got records to beat. It's all about him just now. You can see that he's loving every minute of it, as the Motherwell supporters are as well.
Let's hope that somebody can get 10 in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always difficult in Scotland, but nevertheless, could be Kevin Van Veen. Nice of you to throw a grenade in early. Down south, it's. By the way, what have you got for your score there? I've got Livingston 1, Motherwell 1.
I think I went that as well.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's a bummer.
I didn't. I think I went for Motherwell to win. 2-1.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Cheryl will know. I can't remember.
Newcastle United, Champions League.
Brilliant.
It looks as if they'll earn half the Champions League cash of Manchester City, but who cares? 21 million will be welcome for them. Can I ask you this, Ruffy? Do you get the feeling that they are going to go big this summer? Because everybody expected it last summer. It hasn't quite materialised yet.
Well, he's obviously he saved a few million, by not. I mean, I know he did splash a wee bit of it, but you would think with the owners that they've got that they would be spending the same as, not maybe as much as Man City, but they would be up there. So it'll be interesting how much the bank is going to be let loose on them, because if they do, the Newcastle support is unbelievable.
Kieran Tierney would be a brilliant signing.
I'm just about to say that, Peter. I hope they sign Tierney. I think him left back, Trippier at right back.
I cannot believe that he did not get game time starts.
Yeah, I think there's maybe something going on there with the manager.
There's got to be a story there, because in the back line, down that left side, he's a good defender.
Oh, he's fantastic. He's brilliant. He can play the left centre back as well, and he's far too good a player to be sitting in a bench for anybody. So, I even think that somebody like Man City would be interested in him. I think he's that good. I think he could play anywhere, and I'm very surprised that he's not getting a game at Arsenal.
I thought he was a better defender than Zinchenko. Zinchenko's a really talented player going forward.
I think Newcastle. If you're Newcastle, you're thinking, that'd be a great signing. But I think Newcastle will. I think they will spend big. What a job he's done, Eddie Howe. They bought him in the league when he took over. I know he spent a few quid, but Chelsea spent 600 million and look, we're there. So I think he's a terrific manager, and I think if he gets backed again in the summer and they sign 3 or 4 good players, I think they could challenge for the title next year.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Newcastle?
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting point. Real Madrid, wee report saying Andy Robertson could be on their hit list. If Andy Robertson joins Real Madrid, that is the best story ever. I couldn't wish for a better story than that for Andy Robertson.
He must be a big club, didn't he? Really.
If Andy Robertson went to Real Madrid for a right few bob, I bet there's somebody at Queen's Park trying to find a contract that said there's a sell-on clause.
Or at least a signed shirt. No, it would be absolutely magnificent. He's under contract to Liverpool to 2026, but you look at his medal. I mean, I was lucky enough to go down and interview him in his house, and he's got the ultimate man cave. I mean, I think Jordan Henderson bought every one of them a gold Premier League mini trophy to commemorate them winning the league, which was phenomenal. Lovely gesture by the captain. European Cup, of course, the Premier League, European Super Cup, FIFA Club World Cup, and the FA Cup. I mean, he's got everything. It was just
fantastic. He's got to win the World Cup with Scotland, and he's got the full
exactly. Ruffy, don't hold your breath on that one, by the way. But that would be absolutely sensational if he got that. I'd love that to happen, Ruffy, would you?
Yeah, so would I. I think we like Scottish guys over there. I saw another bit. I mean,
who was the last Scottish player? Who was the last Scottish player that played in La Liga?
Steve Archibald. Is it not Steve Archibald? Could it be?
Played in La Liga.
I don't think
Scottish player.
I don't think there's. Well, that's like. What about the boy Jack Harper?
Did he play in La Liga? Who was the last Scottish player? Has there been any Scottish players that played for Real Madrid?
No, I mean, I'm thinking.
Is there?
No.
In the history?
Beckham, Owen, McManaman.
Ever been a Scottish player that signed for Real Madrid?
Who was it I read in the papers is going to break a goal scoring record for a Scottish player this year in the league?
In La Liga?
Aye. Dennis Law was the first one. He's so many goals off.
In Italy?
In Italy.
Lewis Ferguson?
Lewis Ferguson. He scored, I think it's 7 goals. He's the second highest Scottish goal scorer to play in the league.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, if Andy Robertson,
it's amazing. There's never been a Scottish player that's played for Real Madrid.
If Andy Robertson goes to Real Madrid, somebody's just suggested here. James says, why not Tierney to Liverpool? Tierney would be great for Liverpool, but nevertheless, talking of Real Madrid, Ruffy, Vinicius Junior, the red card has been rescinded, and that whole thing has blown up since that racial abuse towards him. Valencia ordered to close the stand. There were monkey chants. They've been fined €45,000. 3 people have been arrested, which is good. I hope they're never allowed back into a football ground. And I think the other thing which doesn't help is that La Liga president Javi Tebas tweeted that neither Spain nor La Liga is racist, and it's unfair for anyone to say this. Now that for me is absolutely just washing your hands of a problem that is there. And when Carlo Ancelotti and Real Madrid, all the players backed him, you know, for a president to come out and say that is an absolute joke.
I seen Vinicius Junior putting a video up last night on his social media, and it was all different games, and all the chants and the monkey noises and all that stuff, and he put it up on his Twitter, and it was an absolute disgrace. So for me, it is a racist country and a racist, you know, the football fan base. When you look at that in some of those games, it wasn't just Valencia, it was other teams, you know, it was maybe Barcelona, wherever he was, and he was getting it from every angle in every club in Spain. So it's an absolute joke, and I hope, as you said, that the people at Racing are never invited back to a game again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shocking.
It is poor, and you know there are a number of other countries as well that suffer from it. But we're in the 21st century, and again, it's something that no player should be subjected to. And I've said it before. I think, you know, having seen him on a number of occasions, one of my favourite players in this season, Vinicius Junior, has been absolutely outstanding. He's up there in the top 5 players.
We need somebody now, because obviously Ronaldo's over where he is. Messi's in France. We don't see much of him now, so we need a European player to step up and take over. Yeah, we need somebody to take over for they two.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just such a golden era with those two, wasn't it?
Brilliant.
I mean, you had to watch Spanish football. You just wanted to watch it to see them. It's almost the effect, Tam, which was probably just before your time, but it was the same effect for a generation of people who had to get up and watch you know, Italian football when Maradona.
I watched it.
And I think and later on there was a huge English interest when Gascoigne was playing at Lazio. It's just
late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, it was just a massive interest in it, Ruffy. It was great, wasn't it? I mean, Maradona was outrageous.
The highlight for me was obviously Souness going to Sampdoria.
Yes,
you know, that was just fantastic.
Trevor Francis,
you know, and Bruce Wilkins.
Yeah, Butch Wilkins. He was there as well. Mark Haley was fantastic. Mark Haley actually, and there was another player that stuck in my mind. Joe Jordan. Joe Jordan played for AC Milan and I think Verona.
Platt.
Yeah. David Platt.
David Platt did particularly well.
I think they signed the wrong guy. I think they were after.
He signed for Milan or something?
I think no disrespect to Luther Blizzard, I think the stand they knew it was they thought they were getting John Barnes, and then in the end, John Barnes probably cost too much money. But thanks to Gary Connor, who says, Peter, Gary Connor. Peter, according to Google, a Scottish player named John Fox might have played there. I'm not sure.
For Real Madrid?
No, I don't know. But I don't think there's been a real superstar that's gone to Real Madrid and played.
To Scotland?
Yeah, no. I mean, Larsson moved to Barcelona, but he was a Swede. But nevertheless, good one. Quiz question. Here it is, Ruffy. Have you thought of anybody who was the last light blues
Barry Ferguson, is it?
to receive a testimonial for Rangers?
John Gregg.
It wasn't Barry Ferguson. He just missed out, by the way.
I remember that.
The answer was John Brown.
I was going to say him.
July 2001.
Was he there 10 years?
Against Anderlecht.
Wow.
Yeah. John Brown, who was an absolutely fabulous player. I think, is it fair to say, very underrated, Tam?
Yeah, last night I didn't obviously see a lot of him. He was a wee bit older, but I think he was a tremendous player. In that 9-in-a-row team, coming through with Goff and all of them, they were a stable at the back for Rangers with Goran behind them. So no, by all accounts, he was a tremendous player.
Yeah, absolutely. There's your answer. We're almost getting to the end of the season, lads. I mean, it's unbelievable. It started off with We've had some amazing times, some great players, some great games. I want you guys to get your thinking cap on for Friday, because obviously throughout the season, throughout the summer, we'll put on the best of the programme and the guests that we've had and the one-to-ones we've had. We've certainly had a lot of stuff that I think you can still enjoy. John McMaster talking about the Gothenburg greats, Alex McLeish just talking about the Gothenburg greats.
I watched it. Sorry, Peter, I watched that the other night, the documentary on the BBC.
Yes.
And was that you in goal when they won 5-0? They won the league? Aberdeen. that you in goal?
79-80, that wasn't you, Ruffy, no.
Who was in goal for Hibs that day? Aberdeen, the last game of the season, won 5-0.
But Jim MacArthur, probably.
He was hopeless.
Yeah.
No, that's a good goalkeeper, but I'm talking about that game.
You back. No, I'm talking about that game. I know Jim.
I was pausing it last night. I was looking up to see if it was him.
Yeah,
he was all over the place flapping at balls.
Don't dig yourself out of a hole. By the way, knowing the Daily Record who taped this entire show, of course,
Hibs legend
called Hopeless by Dud McManus. Yeah, it's all there. Anyway,
He was poor in that game.
Yeah.
I thought it was by the way, that's very similar.
Oh my God, there's, by the way, should be a wee bleeping noise for him reversing, shouldn't there? Anyway, apart from anything else, get your thinking cap on. Favourite game? Favourite player that you enjoyed, not necessarily player of the year, you know, you can, just something out of left field. And of course, if you can get your thoughts on that as well, it'd be great, because we can share a few memories. What's your favourite game of the season, your favourite moment, the thing that's irked you the most on Friday? Because right up until this week, we'll preview the last games on Saturday, Sunday. Tam's not going to be here at the weekend again, so myself and Hugh McDonald will be with you on Sunday this weekend for our full-time roundup on our YouTube channel. So 4 till 6 on Sunday. Once we have the Saturday games out of the way, we'll then know what it's all about on the Sunday for relegation. It could be down to the wire. So you can join Hugh McDonald and myself here in the studio for that, and we'll have our reporters out at the key games. So with that in mind, join us if you can. Hit the subscribe button. Don't forget, if you download the PLZ Soccer app, you'll get all the breaking stories at your fingertips. From Tam McManus, Alan Ruff and myself, Peter Martin, thanks for watching.